Hey guys, Grenade Shark here with another tutorial video on flying. Today's topic is ground-to-air missiles and how to deal with them properly. I have cut this video up into 6 short clips showing different situations from a few different viewpoints. The first clip you're watching now is about the slower swarm missile variant. Typically, if you get locked on by one of these, you are dealing with someone who is using the swarm for the very first time. These are easy enough to deal with. Once you identify their slow variant by checking your minimap, you merely have to afterburn away from them. They don't chase you for all that long. In this second clip, you see me firing a swarm missile at a reaver. If you notice, in addition to the beautiful air artwork he is creating, he is also flying backwards in reverse maneuver in small circles. You can do this indefinitely to dodge the faster variant of the swarm missile, and even the slower variant. Keep in mind, I always recommend afterburning away from the slower swarm variant, and this method is much more difficult to achieve on live due to other planes being in the air. But, if there are no other planes, you can dodge to your heart's content. Alright, in this third clip you're seeing the same thing as before from the pilot's point of view. Think sideways reverse maneuver and you have a pretty good idea. Keep your circle small and afterburn only if needed. Also keep in mind that it's best to hold your altitude while doing this maneuver. If you do not do so, there's always the ground to break your fall. In this fourth clip, I'll show you a more practical way to dodge the faster version of the swarm missile. This method involves afterburning away towards any terrain, preferably some that has a bit of an angle, such as a mountain or a hill. But if you do this correctly, you can use any surface in the game. What you want to do is, after you are locked on, afterburn towards the ground or any other surface. Watch your mini-map to gauge the distance between the missiles and yourself. When they either start catching up or you start running out of afterburner, you will head directly towards the ground at a 90-degree angle. While doing this, you'll need to slow down as fast as possible. Once you're about to hit the ground, pull up as hard as you can. The missiles will then fly past you and hit the ground. This maneuver is easier when you have bound analog throttle and pitch up and pitch down. If you have questions on what those things are, there are many other videos out there that can explain them for you. In this fifth clip, I am dodging the faster swarm once again. Only this time I am using the side of the mountain instead of the ground. In this final clip, I will show you guys a method for dodging a default ground-to-air rocket launcher. Each faction has their own specific name for it, but they all perform about the same. This method is completely different from dodging the swarm missile, and it's much more difficult to time correctly. A couple things to keep note when trying this method: you need to identify what type of missile is chasing you first. Generally speaking, a swarm user will fire 3 missiles at you. That's how you can tell if it's a swarm. If you see you are only locked by 1 missile, most of the time it's a default ground-to-air launcher. This is not always the case, and there is no perfect method for determining which type of missile launcher is locking onto you. Watching their speed they catch up to you on the minimap is the most concrete way of identifying the missile type. The quicker swarm missile variant flies faster than the default launcher missile. Now, moving on to how to actually dodge the default ground-to-air rocket launcher. Once you have been locked on, you want to immediately head towards flight ceiling. If you don't know what flight ceiling is, it is the invisible wall you hit when you fly too high. You want to burn towards flight ceiling while keeping the missile in your minimap a safe distance away from you. The goal being to hit the flight ceiling right before the missile hits you. If you do this correctly, the missile will miss you and instead explode on flight ceiling. If you hit the flight ceiling too early, the missile will still hit you. If you hit it too late, well, you know what happens. I can generally get this method to work for me about 1 out of 3 times. It really depends on how close you are to the missile launcher user. The further you are away from them, the easier it is to judge the distance between you and the missile. Finally, here's an example of me hitting the flight ceiling too early when being chased by a ground-to-air missile and getting exploded. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.